IRS Form 8888, Allocation of Refund, including savings bond purchases. This document is a 4-page document, but the only page that we'll be primarily concerned about is the first page. Part 1 is direct deposit. Part 2, U.S. Series I savings bond purchases. Part 3, paper check. Part 4, total allocation of refund. The remaining 3 pages contain the form instructions, the purpose of the form, why you would use direct deposit, information about savings bonds, and then specific instructions for each of the lines that we'll go over momentarily. So let's circle back to the top of the instructions. You would use IRS Form 8888 if you want the IRS to directly deposit your refund or a part of it to more than one account at a bank or other financial institution. This could be a brokerage firm, a credit union, mutual fund, so on and so forth. If you want to use part of your refund to buy either paper or electronic Series I savings bond, you can do this up to $5,000. You can also divert part of your refund to fund an IRA, a health savings account, an Archer MSA, a Coverdell savings, education savings account, or a Treasury Direct Online account. However, you cannot have your refund deposited into more than one account or buy paper Series I savings bonds if you file IRS Form 8379, Injured Spouse Allocation. You should also not request a deposit of your refund to an account that is not in your name, such as your tax return preparer's account. As a side note, anytime your tax return preparer recommends depositing part or any of your refund into an account that you do not own, that is technically illegal. As a tax practitioner, your accountant, your CPA, your enrolled agent, or even your tax return preparer are all accountable to the Internal Revenue Service, and one of the biggest no-nos is recommending that clients refund or direct a tax refund into an account that the tax preparer controls. So let's go back to the top of the form. You can see this applies for the appropriate calendar year. So whichever year you're filing your tax return for, your name on the return, your social security number, and then part 1 simply contains the routing information for your direct deposit. So in line 1A, you'll indicate the amount to be deposited in the first account, second account, third account, and each account should have a different, maybe not routing number, depending on if you have multiple accounts at the same financial institution, but you should at least have different account numbers, and then annotate whether or not it's a checking or a savings account. If you have trouble remembering which account number and the routing numbers are, there is an example in the form instruction. The routing number is always a 9-digit number that corresponds to your bank or financial institution. The account number can be a wide range of account numbers. It does not necessarily have to be 9 digits. It can be more, it can be less, depending on your institution's account numbering procedures. But that's how you remember the difference between a routing number and an account number, is that on your checkbook, a routing number is on your left, your account number is on your right, and your routing number always has 9 digits. In part 2, you'll indicate if you want to buy paper bonds with a portion of your refund. In line 4, you'll annotate the amount to be used for bond purchases for yourself and your spouse if you're filing a joint return. In 5A, you'll enter the amount to be used to buy bonds either for yourself, your spouse, or someone else. And then you enter the owner's name in 5B for the bond registration. For example, John Smith would enter JOHN. And space Smith. And then if you want to add a co-owner or a beneficiary, you can enter John's wife, Ann Smith, and check this if that person is a beneficiary. If it's a co-owner, then you would not check that. Under 6A, you would enter the amount used to buy bonds for yourself, your spouse, or someone else in a similar manner. Just, so if you, for example, wanted to give some bonds to your son, Edward Smith, you would enter that here. And then part 3 contains the amount that you would want to be sent to you as a check. The important part is that part 4, which is line 8, should equal the total refund amount on your tax return. So let's imagine that your tax return, your refund for some reason is $5,000. You can annotate $2,000 to be deposited into the first account, which we'll just call that a checking account, account number 1. We'll say this is your savings account and this is number 2. Your $5,000 return, you decided to put $2,000 into a checking account, $1,000 into your savings account. You decided to buy $1,000 worth of bonds for yourself, and then you're going to, let's just pretend that you have a daughter named Ann Smith and a son named Ann Smith, and you want each of them to have bonds $500 each. Okay, so that totals our $5,000 refund, which means you cannot make any amount payable by check if your total refund is $5,000 and you've used the $5,000 previously. But let's imagine that you change this and you say, I only want $1,000 to be diverted to my checking account. Now you've got $1,000 going to checking, $1,000 going into savings, $1,000 into bond purchases for yourself, $500 for each of the kids. You can now ask for a check made out to you for $1,000. There are specific instructions that you can pay attention to. For example, if you want to fund an IRA or one of your other accounts like a health savings account, you can find more specific guidance on how to do that in the form instructions. And there are also other things, scenarios that you can go over, such as if your direct deposit request was rejected, what happens if that happens, a refund offset. We talk about refund offsets in some of our articles, which you can find on our website, and then changes in your refund due to math error and how a math error may impact your refund. If it goes up, where that increase will post. If it goes down, where that decrease will be accounted for. That's all we have for this review of IRS Form 8888, Allocation of Refund. If you like this, we've written a complete article, which you can find on our website. simply go to teachmepersonalfinance.com, type in IRS Form 8888 in the search bar, and our article should appear. If you like our articles, please subscribe to our newsletter on the website. If you like our videos, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, as always, please post them in the comment section. Thank you.